Hi, this is Edith, Instructional Innovation Trainer at Klamath Community College, and in this video I'm going to go over Microsoft Forms. Microsoft Forms is a convenient tool if you want to do a survey or do a quiz or get data from individuals that will help you do some analytics. First thing you want to do is go ahead and sign into Office 365. The way I do that is I go into my KCC. You don't have to sign into my KCC. You can just come over here to the left and just do log into Office 365. You'll be prompted to enter your username, which is your ID number at students.klamathcc.edu. When you come to the landing page of Office 365, you have your icons up here, and the one we're going to select is Forms, of course. Now, the thing about Forms is that it is only available online. If you want to send a form to an individual, you actually have to send them a link, which I will go over in just a few minutes. So as you can see, I'm on the main page here. I have choice between my forms, shared with me. Shared with me is if somebody else has a form that they want me to collaborate with them. It would show up in here. And then there's group forms. So you can actually create a group form. You can see that I have one already built, and that is for the observation videos. It was a test run to see if this would be something that I would want to use. And then you can also search for your form. Kind of important if you're going to get into making forms and using this format. You do have two choices. You have new form and you have new quiz. The difference between the two is that new quiz you can actually assign a grade to. A new form is just gathering data. A form is just gathering data so that you can do analytics. So we're going to go ahead and create a new form. You can title it anything you want. And you can even add a picture if you choose to do that. You can go in here and search Bing. The one thing I do like about Bing, and I've mentioned this in other videos, is it's uses a lot of the Creative Commons licenses. Creative Commons is a type of copyright. It just doesn't have the same legal issues as a copyright does. However, even if you use a Creative Commons image, be sure that it is not copyrighted because there may be some conflict there. So just ensure that that's what you're going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this one and add it so you can see what it would look like. I can enter a description of the video. And you can see I have two tabs here. I have questions and responses. So once we get to building the form, I can actually go in and do a test run using the preview and see how the responses would look. So we have different choices of questions. We can go with choice. And the thing with choice, which is really nice, is that you can do a choice. You can make them say, want them to answer it with one question, or I can give them the choice of answering multiple choices here. So I can add other options. So this changes into a text box, and we can look at that, go into preview. Versus if I decide not to and I just want them to have one answer, which is the radial buttons. As you can see, they turned into circles. So if I go in here, I can only select one. I can also require them to answer this question, so they cannot move on to the next question until they answer this one. Here we have subtitles. So what happens with a subtitle is I can actually put more information about the question in here. Maybe you're giving a quiz or you're sending out a form and you want them to understand what the question is, or to say to them, you can choose two or more topics. You can also shuffle options. So again, if it's a quiz or a form and you just don't want everybody to have the same format so that they can't pass on answers, you can also change it, give the shuffle as an option. I can also copy the question. I can delete the question. And this is moving them up and down within the quiz or form. Right now, I only have one question, so I can't move it right. So let's go ahead and add a second question. This time I'm going to add a text. And again, I have the option of adding a picture. I can type in my question here, and then I can choose whether I want it to be a long answer or a short answer. If I remember correctly, a short answer is 40 characters, and that's the default, is the short. If I go to long, I believe it goes up to 250 characters. Again, we have the required and then subtitle. I can also place restrictions on the answer if I want it to just be a number answer, greater than or equal to. So I have all of these choices here as well. but I am not going to put in a restriction at this time. Rating. If I go to rating, I can actually do another question. I can go up to 10 stars. I can also just change it to a number system. And then I can also label these as well. So I would come in here and I would click on this and I can click on label. And so I can say unsatisfactory here to satisfactory. That way it just gives the individual a guide of which way that the numbering system goes. And again, I can go between the two. I can add a date. So this is where Microsoft Forms is a little different than Google Forms. Google Forms actually allow you to put in a time. So if a time is essential to you, you can actually put in perhaps a text question and have them add the time in there and restrict it to just a number. And then I have ranking. So this is kind of convenient. Let's go ahead and put some days in here. Okay, so basically when they do go into the ranking choices, they have the option of moving them up and down so that they can give their ranked choices. And then we have the subtitle, so you can also put that in as well. So each of your choices do have a subtitle. Just be aware of that. Last one is the Likert. And everybody is familiar with this. If I 7 options that you can go into, you can just keep clicking on here. You can see that I don't have anything beyond 7. Everybody is aware of what a Likert question is. Likert was named after the person who actually invented the question. So I'm going to go ahead and look at this and see how I like it in the preview mode. So I can click on my preview. This is exactly what somebody's going to see when they come here. And I can actually fill this out just so if you want to test it and see what the responses would look like, you can do that. We'll just put it halfway here. We can select a date. And then here, you can see now I can choose my ranking. I can move them up and down accordingly. And then this here as well. Now, if I had required a question, it will show up with a little asterisk, and I will show that to you in just a minute. This is the computer view. You can actually take these forms or tests on your mobile device. If you wanted to see how somebody viewed this on their mobile device, you can actually click right here and it's going to show you exactly what it's going to look like for them as well. But let's go ahead and go back and require an answer for this one. And then we'll go ahead and preview it again. And now you can see that it is required. I can still answer these questions, but I won't be able to submit without having the required question. So let's go ahead and see what happens if I try to submit without doing that. So you can see there, I have to answer that one question before I can submit. And then it will highlight it for you. The other thing you can do is change the theme. So you have all of these choices here. You can also input your own picture if you choose to do that. All it does is just change the background of the picture of the form for you. Again, let's go ahead and go into preview. And I'm going to go ahead and answer these so you can see what responses look like. And now I'm going to go ahead and submit. And now it's going to show it as being done. So let's go ahead and go back to the form. And I go into responses, and now you can see what the results are from each of the questions. If you want to see it in Excel, go ahead and click on Open in Excel and then click Save. I've already saved it, so I'm going to go ahead and hit Cancel here. One thing I do want to point out here, don't open it from down here. Go ahead and open Excel and search for it. I've been having problems with the system thinking that the file is corrupt, although it's not. I found that this is just the easier way to do it. So here's my file here. I'm going to go ahead and click on Open. And what you can see here is that I have the start time, the completion time, the email of the person who took the form, the name of the person, and then the answers to each of the quizzes. So this is how you can use it for analytics. You can also do this with the quiz portion of this. So it might make it easier for you to identify which question you can filter accordingly here. So if you want to see maybe everybody who's selected option 1 and if somebody else selected option 2, 3, and 4, and so on, you can filter them by that option if I had more than just one response in there. But this is kind of a real nice tool. It's very quick and easy to kind of gather real quick data. You can click on View Results and then see it in the form view as well. So if I wanted to share this form, I can click on Share and I get this link here. When you're doing sharing, be conscious of this. You do need check and see if anybody with the link can respond. So perhaps we're going outside of Klamath Community College. You would want to check this so that anybody with the link can respond and they don't need to have a KCC account to view it. So I'll go ahead and click on that. And then I just can click on copy and then it will be ready for me to paste. You can see there, I can actually click on my little envelope here and will open up Outlook for me and already have it ready for me there as well. I can embed the code. So perhaps I have a web page through KCC. I can put that code in there and it will show up as a link for somebody to follow to fill out the form. If the webmaster for KCC is in charge of your website, doing changes in there, you can also send a support case with this information in there for them. There is also the availability of a QR code, so you can actually download it, put that QR code into a paper or onto a document, and anybody with a smart device can actually scan it and then be able to get to the form as well. You can duplicate this. So if somebody says, you know, I really like the way you set up your form and I really would like to use it, and you don't mind sharing it, you can click here and get a link to duplicate it and then send it to them. You can share to collaborate. So that's where I was talking about the forms in the forms area where shared with me. So this, you can create a link and send it to another individual so that they're able to edit onto the form. I'm going to come back here real quick. The other thing we can do in here is branching. If you ask a question and based on that question, decide whether they go to the next question or perhaps they go on to a different question. So if they say they select option 1, I can actually tell them, now let's go to option 5. But if they select option 2, then I need them to go to 2, and so on and so forth. And then I can say, you know, with 4, they're going all the way to the end of the form. That way you can guide the user where to go in the form. And then I can just reset it if I didn't like the way the branching options worked. Settings is just some basic information. So this is where I decided who can fill out the form. Options for responses. So I can accept responses from here till next year if I want to. I can do a start date and an end date. I can also shuffle the questions, and I can get an email notification of each response. That's definitely up to you. Just be aware that if you have 50 people filling out the form, you're going to get 50 emails. It's a choice. If you need to have notification each time, then yes, definitely use that. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to forms so we can just kind of look at a quiz. So I'm going to go ahead and open one that has already been done so you can see here. Now what I've done here is I've created a yes and no quick answers, and I've chose which one I want to be the correct answer. So you can actually just click on them this way and say, you know what, no, that's not the correct one. This is the correct one. And I can say it's correct. I can also give some verbal feedback. There's also a point system available, how many points you want to give them per question. I can shuffle the options. I can also create a math answer. So you can see I've done that with all of these. I've also made them required. You can tell that they're required because of here. As you add questions, you can assign them points. You can even change it as you go along. Say, I want all of them to be 10. The form will actually give you the the total of your quizzes here. So I have 65. I have 7 questions. And so now you can see it's now up to 70 points. Again, I'm going to preview and I can see what it looks like here. I can also see what's going on in mobile. And then I can go ahead, let's go ahead and preview and let's see. So you can see here, this form allows only 1 response per person. So I have already filled this out. So it's not going to let me fill it out again. And that's probably okay when you're doing quizzes. I perhaps can change the setting here, right here, 1 response per person. So if I uncheck that, now I can go in, I bet, and take the test. And you can see here, this is one of the ones that I had my answers. I said these should be the correct answers. And you can see what the correct answer is down here. So this is really good reinforcement for students if you choose to use this, where you might want to do like a little quiz just to make sure they understand the content of what they went over. And again, we can look at it in a mobile view so we can see what it looks like there as well. So let's go ahead and head back. So this video covered the forms and the quizzes and how to set them up. If you have any other questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to contact me. My email is warden@clamasscc.edu. My extension is 340. And you can find me on the Skype for Business directory, Edith Warden, and I would be glad to IM with you, share screens. Please let me know. Thank you and have a great day.